If you've been wondering whether there is a shortcut or easy path to bar exam success, I'm here to reveal a secret. There may very well be. You probably heard of affirmations, but let's take it one step deeper into the mysterious. What about subliminals? And to take it even further, paraliminals, much less heard of, but also one of those tools that you can find in the bag of tricks of someone who has found the easier, softer way to bar exam success. So let's ease your way with an explanation of these tools, how you know which one would be the best for you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Duclair, bar exam mindset mentor and attorney life coach, helping you beat the bar and build a law life that you're absolutely in love with. If you know that mindset has been an issue, that perhaps you're feeling some self-doubt, you're second guessing yourself on your practice questions, you're feeling discouraged when you receive scores that don't match up with how much you think you studied, you probably know that some mindset resources are needed. Now, bar prep companies and tutors don't usually specialize in these kinds of things, but sometimes you can luck out and find a company or tutor that knows that mindset is an issue and has some resources for you. If you're on this channel, then you're probably already fully aware that here at JD Life and Career Coaching, we help you with the mindset side of the bar exam only and leave the academic tutoring to, well, the tutors, because there are so many that you can choose from and really good ones out there. But we specialize in mindset. And that way you get the fastest and most effective treatments to get you past the bar exam. So some tutors and companies will turn you on to things like positive affirmations and even subliminals. But there's this thing, paraliminals, that people wonder, do they really work? Now, paraliminals are like subliminals, except that you can actually hear the affirmations being spoken. And often there's one or two different voices saying different things at the same time in either ear. The logic behind this is one, if you've got so many things running through your brain, you don't have time to refute each and every one of them. And so they're more likely to sink in. Obviously, having this thing on repeat helps to cancel out some of your own negative noise, and the repetitive nature of it helps it to sink in for you. Paraliminals do with the two different voices and the relaxing background music, maybe nature sounds, what subliminals try to do by speaking under the threshold. Now, with subliminals, believe it or not, the effective subliminals are not lowering the volume of the positive affirmations such that you can't hear them or that it's imperceptible underneath the sound of the music. Actually, the effective subliminals change the frequency of the spoken voice so it's outside of your human range as far as hearing frequency is concerned, but maybe perhaps a dog or other animal may hear it perfectly loud and clear. Your subconscious mind, your brain is still picking up on it. It's just not registering to the human ear like auditory sound. The messages themselves are still coming to you. Here's some caveats when it comes to any of these tools. Positive affirmations, I will say blatantly, is probably your weakest approach to this kind of tool for anything, and especially here with bar prep. The reason why is because positive affirmations are definitely surface. You can hear everything that's said. You may be crafting your affirmations incorrectly. Incorrectly crafted affirmations actually cause resistance and kickback in the brain. You may actually be reinforcing a negative thing without even knowing it. There's so many rules to affirmations that if you are not careful, you could create disastrous results. Some people who create affirmations may not be well versed in some of these rules. It's all about how the subconscious mind hears things. And if they're not well versed in it and they hand you an affirmations tape, you might be doing more harm than good. Now, we've done a lot of years of study on what works, especially when it comes to the kinds of words, the speech that you use. If you want a safe bar exam affirmations recording to listen to, look below. I'm linking you to bar exam specific affirmations that will help you all through your study period and having success on the bar itself. So affirmations, because they're surface, because they're completely audible, which means that your mind has time to look for exceptions and resistances and kick back against it. And that's often caused because they're crafted incorrectly. Affirmations are the weakest tool in this mystery bag. Next up, subliminals. They can be very helpful in reducing some of that kickback because you're not conscious of what's being said, but there will still be kickback. Just because your subconscious mind is not one that you can see, touch, feel, and talk to, doesn't mean that it's not very, very powerful. In fact, your subconscious mind drives most of your life. Most of the things you do are on autopilot. Your subconscious mind is taking care of all that stuff for you. Just think about the last time you drove home from a familiar place to your home and you don't even remember the path you took to get there. Like, your subconscious mind takes care of all kinds of things while you are driving, while you're making coffee, while you're doing all kinds of repetitive tasks that you're not fully present for. A lot of your decisions are made on autopilot, simply drawing on information from the past, coming to a quick conclusion and making a split-second decision, and later you have to justify why you decided that. A lot of it takes place subconsciously. We've even learned how to rope in the subconscious mind to storing the information you need for the bar exam and bringing it back up from the subconscious when it's time for you to answer the questions on the exam. But that's a different story for another day. The point is, your subconscious is a smart machine. And if you present it with statements that are just completely untrue, like, I am wonderful at property law, when you know you failed that class, you're going to get kicked back. You're going to get resistance, even if you didn't audibly hear that affirmation because it was subliminal. One way you can know for sure if you're getting kicked back to your affirmations is you grow irritated while you're listening to the subliminal. For sure, right? If you play your subliminals while you sleep, this is one step in the right direction of helping to remove some of that resistance and letting it sink deeper into the subconscious mind. You are more impressionable when you're asleep because the conscious mind and its guards are asleep. So if you play subliminals actually while you sleep, they might be even more helpful. But if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you can be sure that your subconscious is fighting what's in the subliminals. And that's because your subconscious is trained with whatever you told it. And if something happened with property law and you just convince yourself that you're bad at property law, that's what your subconscious believes. Your subconscious works off of the programming that you instilled. It doesn't necessarily think on its own. The issue is that most people don't realize when they're instilling programming. Programming can be done by repetition, which is how and why some of these affirmations, paraliminals, subliminals do work, is repetition. And your subconscious also gets programming off of an emotional charge paired with an event. So the first time you got fired from a job, whatever explanation you came up with for why you were fired, now it becomes your subconscious's like rule of life to never do that again. So getting broken up with, for example, or getting into a terrible accident, all kinds of things can play into your subconscious storing these rules about life, including we're bad at property law because that's something that you instilled when you received your score, your grade. And then your subconscious lives out making decisions and taking you in the direction to keep that rule in place or to repeatedly fulfill that prophecy. So just because you want something new to be true, or just because the belief you have currently in your subconscious mind is irrational, does not mean that it's going away anytime soon or changing. You have to manually change that thing the same way you programmed it to begin with, either through emotional events or through repetition. So now you're at the place where you're waking up in the morning after listening to a subliminal and you're irritated. That's because your subconscious has a completely different belief, and your subliminals are presenting the opposite, and your subconscious mind is like, no, that's not true. And they're fighting, essentially. It's fighting the new messages. So you're going to have to basically power through those nights when you wake up irritated in the morning. You're just going to have to power through those if you're set on using subliminals, and do the subliminals for at least 30 days until you actually see changes in your waking actions, decisions, and thought patterns. The way that you'll know that it has really set in is you'll start thinking in the same words or repeating the phrases that are in those subliminals. They will become part of your autopilot tape. Everyone has an autopilot tape. And changing what's in that autopilot tape will affect how you see the world and the actions that you take. And this is how you can use affirmations, subliminals, and paraliminals for a change on your bar exam progress and score. But do know the nuances, the differences, do know the differences between the three so you can choose the one that works best for you. Paraliminals, you can hear the things that are actually being said, but they're said with one thing in one ear, another thing in another ear, and said out loud. You can hear them. Yes, it does open the door for resistance, but not as much because there's so much going on. Your conscious mind is not going to play whack-a-mole trying to bat all of those things away. But a lot of people might feel the cognitive dissonance. First, because of all the different things going on that audio, but then second, because there is resistance being kicked up. You'll have no choice but to go into autopilot mode and just let the sound of the voices wash over you. And often paraliminals use nature soundtracks and things to aid in that process of you just going into autopilot mode and letting the sounds wash over you. The hope is that you'll do it often and frequently enough so that your subconscious mind adopts these new messages. And that's the point with all of these things. They all depend on repetition. Whether you're using positive affirmations, subliminals, or paraliminals, they depend on repetition. You have to listen to them every day. I prefer pressing play at night and going to sleep, especially if you're using something like subliminals, where the voice is not audible to the human ear, and it can easily be overlaid with rain sounds or something like that. And so you're just sleeping to a rain sound. But yes, tough through those first 7 nights where you may get up irritated because of the fighting that's going on. You may not be fully rested. But if you listen to them at night, I like to do that to help bring in that repetition component that is very necessary for any of these things to work. So if you were thinking that there's a magic pill to bar exam success, there might be, but you'll have to make sure that one, whatever you're listening to, the sentences are constructed in a way that does not create unintended side effects or in fact, bring about the exact opposite thing that you were trying to affirm. That is the biggest danger when it comes to these methods. Number 2, you'll need to stay on top of the repetition of it. You'll have to get past the point where your subconscious mind is fighting it and to the point where your subconscious mind is like, okay, they must want us to pick up on these new messages now. And then your subconscious mind, gives up, gives in, accepts the new message, and then starts putting it into play in your everyday waking life by you making one decision that's very different from what you would have normally decided to do in that situation. Or you hearing the autopilot in your head, and that tape is saying something that sounds like, I want to believe that about myself. Wow, that sentence just spontaneously floated up for me, that I'm getting better and better at my MBEs. Wow. And it's something that you realize was not your normal thought 2 months ago, but feels very normal today. That's how you know that the repetition effect has taken place and that these recordings are working for you. Again, if you want something that's going to display to you the proper format to put affirmations in so that you can move towards your goal with less resistance, look below for a link to request my bar exam affirmations recording. It's an hour long. You can loop it or repeat it or just listen to it once a day and see the effects take hold as your subconscious mind gives into these new beliefs, embraces them on your behalf, and moves you towards bar exam success. I'll see you in the next video.